GamingBolt presents the 15 most irresponsible fathers in video games. Everyone has a father, but for many video game characters, their fathers are rather sore subjects. Here are 15 irresponsible fathers in video games. Handsome Jack, Borderlands series. Handsome Jack is actually a dad. I know, right? He's father to the siren known as Angel, but he doesn't exactly treat her well, locking her up and instead using her power to complete his evil agenda. She eventually turns on Jack after his years of cruel parentage. Dad, Earthbound. Ness's dad is absent for the entirety of the adventure. He'll answer the phone when you call and put a couple of bucks in your bank account, but he doesn't show his face once. Not to mention the things your neighbors say about him. All in all, it sounds like Ness might be better off wandering the world fighting aliens. Big Boss, Metal Gear Solid series. Big Boss may be a legendary mercenary, but he failed pretty badly in parenting. Sure, he's the father of some of the deadliest soldiers in history, but they also all hate their father, who just happens to be one of the greatest soldiers and spies in history. Quite the family legacy to have. Jecht, Final Fantasy X. Tidus' father not only abandoned him, but he ran away to the future where he would become a terrible destructive force that slowly consumed the world. Not only does Tidus have to confront an unspeakable evil, but he has to confront his father issues at the exact same time, which doesn't make things easier. William Birkin, Resident Evil. William Birkin was one of the people instrumental in creating the G virus. He not only disregarded his family, but helped Umbrella create a horrifying virus that would go on to kill millions and bring cities to the ground. He even experimented on himself, turning into a mutilated monster that has lost all sense of humanity. This guy had a poor influence on Sherry. Michael, GTA 5. Michael is the poster boy for irresponsible dads. A retired bank robber who married his girlfriend and now has a couple of kids who he provides for thanks to government protection. After all of this happens, he decides to return to a life of crime because everything else is just too boring for him. Huey Emmerich, MGS5. The father of Otacon is also quite the bizarre figure, working with some incredibly questionable people to make weapons that can harm millions. His motivations are all over the place, and his alliances are sketchy at best. To make matters worse, he treats Hal as a test subject of sorts for designing Metal Gear Sahelanthropus. The Bloody Baron, The Witcher 3. The Bloody Baron has one of the most touching missions in all of The Witcher 3, but it revolves around the loss of his child that he didn't know he had. He's such a despot and an alcoholic that things like pregnancy go right over his head. He lays his deceased child to rest, but only after he discovers his existence. Father of Angela Orozco, Silent Hill 2. Angela is a disturbed, suicidal teen who James Sutherland encounters in Silent Hill 2. Her father is never seen, but he has such a profound effect on her that just the fact that she has his DNA in her is enough to send her into a rage. Clearly, Angela was being abused by her father during the events of Silent Hill 2. Ethan, Heavy Rain. Ethan from Heavy Rain has had a rough go of it, but that's no excuse for losing both of your children. Jason was tragically lost in a car accident which set Ethan adrift, while Sean was captured by the mysterious origami killer. Ethan just can't seem to make life easy for his kids. And the way he let Jason while buying that balloon was totally irresponsible and immature. CERVANTES, Soul Calibur series. Ivy's father is none other than the antagonist of Soul Edge and a famous undead pirate. Any father who moonlights as an antagonist clearly has too much time on his hands, not to mention that every appearance CERVANTES makes is as a villain, returning from beyond the grave to cause more trouble. HAYTHAM KENWAY, Assassin's Creed 3. HAYTHAM abandoned his son at a very early age so he could go and gallivant around with the Templars. He spread corruption throughout the colonies and eventually had to fight his own son, Connor Kenway. HAYTHAM is reckless and acts only for his own gain, something that makes life very difficult for Connor. Henry Lawson, Mass Effect 2 and 3. Henry Lawson is a truly deplorable man. and he's hated by Mass Effect fans almost as much as his daughter, Miranda, is adored. He raised his 2 genetically engineered daughters as test subjects rather than as human beings, performing experiments on them. Later on in the series, in the final 2 games, his selfish actions also put his daughters in mortal danger. Miranda's burning desire to kill her father is ultimately quite understandable. HEIHACHI Mishima, Tekken series. What is one of the worst things you can do as a father? Probably try to throw your son in a volcano. He constantly battles Kyuza in tournaments he hosts and makes life more difficult for everyone around him. Heck, he also betrays his grandson Jin Kazama when he defeats the ogre in the 3rd King of Iron Fist tournament. GHETSIS, Pokemon Black and White. GHETSIS does a terrible job of raising the young N, instead trying to further his own ambitions of freeing Pokemon and controlling the legendary creatures. He appears to support N, but in reality, because of N's unique traits, he ends up being just another pawn in GHETSIS' plan. And that wraps it up. If you like what we're doing, please consider subscribing to our channel. We upload new videos daily, so make sure you don't miss them by subscribing. We appreciate your support, and we thank you for checking us out.